Hi, everyone. Welcome to a great session on Gen AI in BFSI, right? I'm Ankit Bose, head of AI here. With me, we have Nishant from HSBC. I will quickly request him to introduce himself, and we will continue with the amazing discussion on the same track. Nishant?
Hey Ankit, thank you very much. I'm Nishant Killedar. I'm the head of engineering and DevOps for our big data organization within HSBC Technology India. And along with that, I also run an AI and innovation working group that is focused on building out use cases in emerging technologies, majority of which has been around AI and Gen AI in the last couple of years. So excited to be here, Ankit. Let's go ahead.
Great, Nishant. Thank you for being here and sharing your insights, right? So Nishant, BFS sector, has adopted ML applications, which are mostly, sort of supervised and supervised, right? Right now, BFS sector was moving to deep learning. There was a big shift from deep learning to Gen AI, which is again probably new augmentation of deep learning. Wanted to check with you, what is that you are seeing, right? How is the whole adoption of AI, Gen AI emerging in BFSI? And I think what are the sort of use cases you guys are working on?
So I think Ankit, BFSI traditionally has been in some ways early adopters of technology. If you think about internet, we kind of adopted internet banking, and then with the advent of smartphones, we got into mobile banking. And I think with more recent advances, at least in UPI, if you think about in India, digital payments has grown at a phenomenal pace. So AI as a technology has been around for quite some time. I think way back in the 90s also we had AI, and I think there were things around expert systems which we used for, like you were saying, supervised learning to use for analysis and prediction. And we did a lot of things within BFSI around say using either Bayesian models, random forest, support vector machines to build out complex models for prediction, which was largely based on providing it data and making the system learn and predict. So today with AI, I think we are definitely utilizing AI in different ways. I would say within the industry itself, we use AI for a lot of operational efficiency. We have through NLP and all, we had built a lot of chatbots, which are pretty prevalent today. And as now we are seeing, I mean, we were, as you rightly said, moving towards deep learning. And then through Gen AI, I think what we are seeing is we have a lot more conversational ability that's available through large language models. We have generation ability. So it has kind of made it more easier to improve the experience of customers. So one area that could be a potential area of focus, and we are seeing uh, a lot of discussions around how we could best utilize LLM's capability to provide better customer experience. We're also looking at different models in the efficiency or the knowledge management space. And I think if you look at various posts or things people say at conferences and all, we are seeing a lot of models are around the LLM RAG approach that we've had, which is around making sure that we provide data to a model and then we are able to search better, geared towards operational efficiency and reducing the time required to search for information, which I think will be largely the first wave of use cases that we will see across the industry. And I think we're starting to see some of that up here as well.
Great, thank you. So let me jump on. The use cases. Definitely, you took us through some of them. Let me ask you, what are the challenges you foresee, right? So you have definitely would have been working for last 1 year plus on the new emerging use cases. But what are typical challenges you are facing, and how are you mitigating them?
Yeah, so many challenges, right? First of all, if you are thinking about large language models, today many of them are hosted and provided by the model developers or providers. And one of the biggest areas of concerns or questions is what happens to data when you kind of provide it to the model. So in a typical scenario, you're maybe even as a simple use case, you're probably creating a prompt, providing it some data, asking it for some answers based on that data, either in the spirit of analyzing it or in the spirit of making it easier for others to do a Q&A. The model still is able to receive and process that data. And I think RAG provides an approach where you're storing that data in your own vector database. But then as we continue to evolve in this space, I think the key question will be how we manage this data and boundaries between the models. Is our data going to be utilized to retrain in some aspects the model, and will that be available to other entities outside of our organization? Some of the other challenges are also availability of the right kind of data. And again, LLMs are known to, or large language models are known to hallucinate. So there's about 7 to 8% of hallucination today that we see. So sometimes the responses that we get are um, not the same all the time. Sometimes they're not accurate enough. And then there are approaches that are now coming up that we can see in the public media as well, where you're able to now link, say, an LLM model along with a knowledge graph or some other database and try to build a better model which reduces or improves the accuracy of that model. Uh, I think we are also trying to make sure that from AI models standpoint, we need to be cautious in terms of biases within the model, because any large models are trained on a vast amount of data, and the responses it provides sometimes may be rooted in bias. So there is a large body of work around what should be the guidelines and how we should evaluate or test models so that biases don't creep into any AI application that is built on top of a hosted large language model or an external large language model. Similarly, any results coming out of that needs to be explainable. What we have seen is, as we started our journey on deep learning models, the deep learning any deep learning model is also not very explainable. Sometimes it becomes a challenge in terms of being able to describe why you arrived at a conclusion, or why you made a particular decision, or why particular you arrived at this type of analysis, because it's all done by the model and its internal mechanics. So what is required and a measured approach would be for us to build a stronger AI testing area or competency, which focuses on defining the type of scenarios or type of boundary cases that needs to be validated and evaluated for each AI application that is either going to be deployed internally or externally. And that is one area that I think should be the focus for anyone who's building out AI applications as well.
Great, great. Thank you. So let me ask you this, a generic question on BFSI, right? Do you think BFSI is a sector? Are are we early adopters? Because it's a very highly regulated sector, but
Yeah,
are we early adopters? Do you feel that?
I think we are a highly regulated sector, but we also have a lot of consumers who directly interface with the bank, and many of our customers experience newer technology in different ways, and they come to expect some of the features from how they bank or how they work with a financial institution. So in terms of that, I think in order to provide a better consumer experience and the consumer expectations kind of keep moving to newer technologies, while we are a regulated industry, we tend to adopt newer technologies while staying abreast of all the regulations. And that's why a very measured risk-based approach in determining how to utilize a model, what type of functionalities and features to roll out that will still be acceptable within our within our regulatory framework. I think that's something that, um, if I may say, BFSI has excelled in through all the various revolutions of internet banking or mobile banking or digital payments that we've seen in the last 25, 30 years. And I do feel that even with Gen AI, we will uh, continue to look for opportunities to make these things more available and build reliable services that can still utilize the best of capabilities that are coming from AI and generative AI models.
Great, great. So again, a very specific question on Gen AI, right? So there are a lot of models, right? A lot of closed, a lot of open models, right? What is that you see in BFSI? How are we adopting? Are we starting with closed, moving to open, or what's the trend? And what's the ROI you see, and what's the inclination on that?
Yeah, I think the question of build versus buy will continue to be debated for some time now. If you think about the models available today, and if you're trying to do an initial POC, test out the waters, I think the initial approach is always going to be, let's look at what is available as a hosted model, because the entry barrier is less in terms of the investment required, but at the same time the risk is high, because you are in many ways, if you're leveraging an externally hosted model and you're putting some of your data on it, then it may not, uh, we don't know how we will manage the risk of that data completely yet. So I think the challenge uh, is definitely going to be on how this progresses. How do open source, I would say, how do closed source or hosted models, how they evolve in terms of providing the uh, confidence to all of the enterprises in terms of having an enterprise model for all their AI models that they're hosting. And that would ensure the security of data and the ability to understand where our data resides or how it is processed and consumed. I think once that barrier is crossed and it's available as a feature, you would see more adoption of closed source as well. At the same time, if it is today, if you have to train your own open source model, it requires an investment of GPUs, but it does provide you better control in terms of how the model, what kind of data is fed to the model. So if you're thinking about explainability and bias, you are able to control the outcomes of the model better. So there is a lot of discussion around small language models that's happening in the public media today, and uh, so I think the key thing is, if we move in the direction of having multiple small language models and link them together to achieve an application or an outcome, then I think you would start to see a mix of approaches that will emerge. Some could be for the initial cases where you're using maybe public data, you could fully rely on a external model. But if you're starting to use internal data and maybe even a PII kind of data, then that would have to be more restricted and probably rely on internal models as we go. But only time will tell on how the cost for these and what will be the ROI for it. Like the ROI, if you're going to invest a lot and build your own model and have a team to maintain that continuously, I think the initial investment is really high, and the ROI is not clear upfront, because it once it is available, then you can utilize it multiple use cases. But it will take time for the model to be built, and by that time you might have more reasonable external options. So I think we are all in the same boat today, trying to determine which is the better way forward. But so far, it looks like the closed source models are being utilized for a lot of POCs today.
Great. So I think you spoke about talent, right? Briefly.
Yeah.
So, talent, that to a domain specific, talent who has AI skills or GenAI skills is definitely in demand, right? How do you see, the BFS sector handling that? Right? What are the ways you are doing to, upskill your team? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think developing an AI model, if you want to build something on your own, it goes back to the buy versus build. If you want to build something on your own, then of course you need a lot of deep talent who understands uh, how to build AI models, understands algorithms, has good knowledge of maths and statistics, and any other things that are required to build, train, deploy models. But we also have to look at the other aspect. If you're mainly going to utilize a pre-trained model for an application, then I think the key skills there would be, for example, today's hosted models are available as an API. So if you have a full stack developer who has consumed or utilized APIs for building applications, then they are fully aware of how to use that API to put it into an application. The only thing then the developer needs to understand is how this AI model works and what kind of outcomes it provides. So there is a lot of focus, or I think should be a lot of focus in training and providing opportunities for um, the current or internal development teams to learn AI, understand what it means to utilize a pre-trained model, how to use an AI API, what is AI ethics, how do you test an AI model, and how do you build a compliance framework around that, and so on. So I think uh, providing a good set of trainings, making it available to developers within the organization is a good way of investing in them and helping them also become more AI ready. At the same time, I think it's also important to hire a few data scientists to help define a framework for building AI apps. So we don't, at least in my mind, I don't see um, merit in hiring a very large team of AI without having a clear uh, project or outcome in mind. But start with a smaller team, use that team to train existing developers, also utilize a combination of business analysts and data analysts to define the right test approaches and scenarios that will be relevant for us to ensure the overall quality of AI applications, especially from a bias and explainability standpoint. And I think then that's the way our AI journey will kind of uh, grow, and we'll be able to upskill our team to be more aware and ready for building AI applications as well. Also, I
Perfect.
think investing in graduate talent who are coming straight out of campuses today and they have AI ML as part of their course naturally brings in a trained pool of people into the organization who can continue to be a strong AI base that we build after that.
Uh, I think internal talent is definitely important, as you rightly said, and then you highlighted some ways. How about partnerships, right? How do you see partnerships, which could help you, probably fasten the process of building various use cases?
I think partnerships are also, I mean, we definitely work with a lot of partners today in terms of developing and delivering our current stack of applications and managing them. I wouldn't see any different even when it comes to AI applications. It's going to be a combination of internal as well as partner teams who come and build out stronger, broader AI models. And I think also looking at academia and trying to engage with them in terms of any research opportunities if there is a will to build deeper models or look at any newer approaches, and engaging with the startup community might have a lot of good ideas, but again co-developing or partnering with them to build out a stronger solution could all be approaches that we could take depending on the use case and depending on how quickly or faster or uh, what kind of outcome we are expecting from the AI/ML projects.
Great. And I think my last question is, so HSBC is a global bank, right? And you have definitely a lot of internal capacity, skills, and you've done so many different use cases of AI. But what will be your advice to the early so the current adopters, right? Probably in the fintech or probably in the Indian BFSI world, right? How should they start? What should be their journey? Yeah, what's your
Yeah.
advice?
I think there are many challenges that come with AI development, and I think some of them we really need to balancing, say for example, risk versus innovation. While we want to adopt all the exciting features that come with new age models, it is really important to understand and have a deep rooted approach towards managing risk, because there are a lot of unknowns in terms of how say data is managed by these models. Can we rely 100% on the outcome that these models are providing, and can we base and explain decisions that we make based on the outcomes of these models if they are further utilized by other applications. Also, the technology is evolving, and if we uh, try to adopt something quickly, it might get outdated because there are newer things coming out in the market. So it is always good to take a slightly longer term view as opposed to always looking for a quick win, because sometimes what you build with a very new technology might become outdated very quickly, and and then the investment doesn't give you the ROI that you require. So on the other things is especially utilizing third-party software, we probably need to be more vigilant, understand what are the capabilities of that software, have a thorough understanding of the risks that the software brings and what it provides. This is generally applicable for all software, but becomes more important from an AI model perspective. And using models ethically, making sure we don't have biases, as I've said a couple of times. Trying to at least have a good model for testing, validating, and making our AI models more explainable will go a long way in helping protect ourselves from any undue risks that come out of these models at a later time. So also, there's a lot of integration that needs to be done, as you will see and hear. Last year, GenAI was a lot about the wow factor. Okay, it can respond, it can converse well. I think we'll start to see a lot of things around how actions can be linked to LLM models. I think we are seeing the agent models come up, and it's going to be really important to fit or find models that are integrating well with existing systems. And that will be a crucial step to determine whether an AI model fits into your existing applications or our existing application stack or not. So some of these, I think, are worth keeping in mind, and uh, also making sure we are providing opportunities to upskill and train our internal employees, as we spoke about, so that they also get a chance to experience and experiment with new technology, but in a more cautious way.
Yeah. Thank you, Nishant. I think thank you for the amazing insight you gave us on the BFSI and how you are seeing this whole frontiers emerging, right? And it's actually more than a technology. It's about transforming our operations, enhancing our users' experience, right? So I think with BFSI and a lot of other sectors, we can really push the limits with new, developments in AI, Gen AI, right? So thank you again, and thank you to all our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ankit.